Yeah, I still don't know how, I don't know how to start this. Uh, but welcome everyone to our first amateur hour sports. Uh, I'm Asgardian or Will, and this is my co-host.
Shadow Wolf, aka Kevin. How y'all doing tonight, folks?
He's still my favorite dickhead. Anyway, we have a decent amount of stuff to talk about. I don't know if we're gonna get a full hour or not, but just kind of however long we're gonna get, we'll go from there. We're gonna shoot for an hour each week, but at the same time, this is our first one, so just kind of bear with us here. And if you have any tips, feel free to leave them in the comments. But please don't just sit in the comments calling us stooges. We already know we're stooges. You don't have to tell us twice. So, if you want to start us off, bring it on up and go ahead with your first topic.
So we're going to start off with some NCAA football this past week. One of the games that kind of stood out for me was Florida versus Arkansas. This was a complete and utter blowout.
Is it because you're from Florida?
No,
Oh.
but it's SEC. It's SEC, the greatest conference there is. Flat out, there is no argument for that, so you can keep your mouth shut.
I have my opinions, but I'm not going to state them because, again, they are my opinions. But at the same time, this is our opinion show, so I'm still not going to state them.
I mean, Florida, in the end, did whoop Arkansas's butt 63-35.
Yeah,
Kyle Trask, their quarterback, 23 of 29, 356 yards, 6 touchdowns. 5 of them in the first half.
It's fucking nuts. I'm not going to lie. It's nuts to see that in any kind of a sports setup. If you saw that in the NFL, you'd probably be like, oh, that defense is trash. But at the same time, to see it in college, where these guys are coming in, getting looked at for the NFL, that's insane. Especially because you can read the defenses and you can find ways to pick apart defenses to be able to score. And that's good to see as far as coming into the NFL. It's nuts to me to know that he threw 5 in the first half alone. Didn't he get...
I mean, you got to think, he's a senior.
Right.
So teams are going to be looking for this come the draft time next year.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely, especially once it gets to the college playoffs and all that, which I don't have any kind of understanding as how that's going to work this year with the COVID games and so on and so forth. Because, like, Wisconsin's missed 2 weeks. I don't know how this is all going to work. But regardless, when it comes to that time, and yeah, you have these early successes, but the other question I have is, can they carry it? And I don't see why they can't, because Florida's been playing phenomenal football, period. I will give them that. The Gators have been playing great football.
I mean, last year he almost hit 3,000 yards. This year, if things go well, he'd probably get close to that mark yet again.
Right.
But he is leading in touchdown passes with 28 this season.
Right, and that is awesome. Which actually, let's see. Okay, yeah. So that kind of we can kind of segue a little bit here too, because my topic, I wanted to talk about Graham Mertz and the Wisconsin offense. This offense is just as thrilling to watch as Florida. And I watched a bit of the Florida game, and I gotta say, I did enjoy watching that. But at the same time, the Wisconsin game was on, and I kind of focused that mostly because, well, I'm from Wisconsin. They're my boys. I love the Badgers. Go Bucky. And now listen to this here. Your quarterback is a senior this year, right?
Yep.
Our current quarterback is a true freshman. Literally, he's highly recruited coming in. He decided to sign with Wisconsin. So far to start the season through 2 games, he has 32 completions on 43 attempts, which it puts him at a 74.4% completion percentage. He's thrown for 375 yards. 8.7 is his average with 7 TDs and no picks. That is, in my opinion, I don't think I've heard this yet anywhere, but I honestly think that is the best start a freshman has ever had amongst college football. Because how often do you see a freshman end up getting the start anyway? I have really kind of some high hopes for Graham Mertz, and I kind of want to see how he's going to develop. But at the same time, I'm excited to see Jack Cohn come back, because last year he was playing some solid football. I was really proud of the way that they were playing, and the way that Paul Chris has got this offense rolling. It's amazing. He's like an unspoken guru when it comes to football, because you don't necessarily hear Wisconsin in those top teams, and we're starting to come up a bit more. With the way Paul Chris has got this offense rolling, it's just stacking and stacking and stacking, and soon we're going to be one of those national championship teams. It's just a matter of time.
Well, speaking of coaches, I do have a little bit of news here that has kind of broken out within the last 48 hours. Is South Carolina's head coach was actually fired after the team starts the season 2-5.
See, that I didn't know, and that is actually something I should probably look at.
Now, not many people may care that Will Muschamp got fired, except his team. South Carolina's had 4 players. 2 of them have decided to drop out completely out of South Carolina. 2 have said they are not going to play for the rest of the season because they fired him.
Wow. That's insane. But that at the same time to me is awesome to see. It's terrible, but it's awesome because that team's going to suffer with those guys not playing. But at the same time, they got to play the next man up. What's awesome to me is that those players love that coach that much, and that they're the reason that they came to that team to play in that offense and that scheme, whether it's offense or defense, and they wanted to play for that specific coach.
Exactly. That just shows that loyalty right there.
It's not just the loyalty aspect to me. It's we know what this guy's doing. We like the way he does things, and this is where we feel we're going to play our best football. So they're acting on their best interest, but at the same time, they're showing that loyalty aspect. You know?
Yep.
Which actually, I can bring that into my next topic, which is the Pat McAfee show. I absolutely love Pat McAfee. He is phenomenal to me. He's funny as hell. He is a great player, and I honestly love watching his show. And he daily, well, I can't say necessarily daily because he does take the weekends off, but Monday through Friday he has his daily talk show. And to hear the things that he says and the way he breaks things down, it makes me want to learn more about football. Mostly because, 1, I know I don't know everything, and 2, he just breaks it down in such a fun way. Whether it's Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays where they sit there and they talk with Aaron Rodgers and you more or less get to know him, but yet they sprinkle in those questions about the game. It's not like a normal media day where it's all about what are you going to do with this, what are you going to do about this, what are you going to do about that. It's hey, what'd you do after the game? Oh, you had your bye week. Did you watch some of the games? Did you go camping on your property? Whatever it would be. They make it fun and they make it an entertaining interview to watch versus some obnoxious guys sitting there just spitting stats and shit like that at them.
Now, I have to ask, I know we're coming up into the next week's games. I know you're going to be watching Wisconsin at Northwestern.
Oh, yeah, hands down.
What's one other game that you see coming out this week that'd be worth watching?
I would actually honestly have to look. I haven't had an opportunity to look yet, so give me 1 second.
Well, while you're looking, I'm going to say it's got to be the Clemson at Florida State game. Trevor Lawrence coming back now that he's virus-free, got something to prove with the last few games we're into the season.
I see. I understand. I kind of agree with that, but at the same time, I'm not sure how hyped up that's going to be. The one I want to see is Indiana versus Ohio State. The undefeated Hoosiers versus Ohio State, who's ranked number 3.
Who shouldn't be ranked, period.
Again, this is going to be a critical game to watch because if it goes the way I think it's going to go and Indiana dominates the way they have been all season, those rankings are going to flop. Ohio State's going to drop way down. Indiana's going to skyrocket way up, and this is going to help them get that much closer to sealing away a national championship. And I don't see why Indiana wouldn't be able to do it this year, other than they would beat themselves. I honestly believe that to be the case. Indiana is staying hot. They are rolling. I watched most of that game, and I was just thrilled to watch. Every time their offense hit the field, I was just excited to see what was next. They were nuts.
Well, Indiana is 4-0, both conference and overall.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ohio State's 3-0. So, but this is where it gets me, is Ohio State shouldn't even be in the top 25. Honestly, none of the Big Ten teams should be anywhere near the top 25.
Why?
Because they started late.
Doesn't matter.
There are multiple teams that have better records that should be ahead of all of them.
Okay, but if we still would have played the full season, even if we would have gotten the same time start, because remember, this wasn't wasn't the players' decision. So taking that rank away from them is complete bullshit, because they didn't get an opportunity because it wasn't their decision to be able to start at the same time. If they had it their way, they would have been starting the same time with or without fans. They wouldn't have cared. They would have started at the same time. That's part of the reason why they changed their minds and said, yeah, we're going to have a season, is because the players wanted that opportunity. Look at Justin Fields with Ohio State. He's in his senior year. He's looking at getting drafted. If he wouldn't have played, do you think he would have gone first round? Being such a great quarterback? No, I don't think he would have. If Big Ten would not have had this season at all, I don't think guys like Justin Fields would have had a fair chance. And it's just mind-boggling that people keep saying, oh, they shouldn't be ranked, they shouldn't be ranked. It blows my mind that you guys don't even want to give these guys a chance. It's not the players' fault that they didn't get to start at the same time. Now, do I believe they should be ranked that high? No. Personally, I do not believe they should be ranked that high. However,
and that's what I'm saying, is they should not be that highly ranked.
No, but
they've only have 3 wins, where there are other teams that are 7-1, 6-2 that have better records. Yes, they did play longer, but they should be that first look before a 3-0 Ohio State.
So, I'm going to be clear. I want to say this before I get too far into this. I do not understand how this ranking system works at all. However, you do have to take in the popularity of the teams. If you take a 3-0 Ohio State team and you drop them to, say, 15th because of them getting a late start, you're still screwing over those players when it comes to the draft. Because then they go into the draft, it's like, oh, he was on a 15th ranked team. Oh yeah, he had these phenomenal stats. Yeah, he didn't play as long. Well, we're still gonna take one of these guys. And how do you know that Justin Fields will go later in the draft, but it's not giving him that opportunity. I'm pretty sure that Justin Fields is going to be an NFL starting quarterback. I'm almost positive that either it's going to be possibly the Patriots. The Jets may take him instead of Tyler Lawrence. You're looking at several teams across the league that are going to be needing quarterbacks here soon. We don't know what's going to be happening with Drew Brees, so they're going to have to possibly find a backup for him. 49ers may need a quarterback here pretty soon. And they may draft someone, or they may take someone in free agency. There's so many moving pieces with the league this coming year, and with the caps, the salary caps coming way down for like the first time in 10 years. And yes, I quoted Pat McAfee a little bit on that. However, I shouldn't have quoted him directly because I don't know exactly what it is, and I know he said he didn't either. He doesn't believe. He said he thinks it's 10 years. But with the way the cap space is falling, there's going to be a lot of players that are either going to have to, like Matt Ryan. He may not stay. They may cut him down in Atlanta because he's owed like $100 million, and they're pretty much going to have to say, hey, will you take a pay cut for $90 million? Nope. In my opinion, there's not a single athlete out there that would be like, yeah, I'm going to take that pay cut just to help you guys out. I don't think that's going to happen. So you got to give these guys still an opportunity, because there are so many teams that that are going to most likely need a quarterback, and there really aren't that many great quarterbacks coming out of this. Like, there are, but there's not. There's a lot of guys that are making errors, such as Michigan's quarterback. He threw 2 picks on the first 2 drives of that Wisconsin game. But then you got a guy like Justin Fields who can constantly sling the ball around the field, and he's successful at it. And they're 3-0 because they didn't get that fair shake. You got to try to give everybody a fair shake. So if I'm right, yeah, those guys have a great record, but they gotta. What they're doing is they're finding if I'm right, the way I see it is they're more or less going to find a median in games, say 5 games for each team. Okay, so Ohio State is only played 3 of the 5. And those other games will be made up because Ohio State did have a COVID mishap where they couldn't play the game. So that game's still got to be made up. They're going to end up making that up at the end of the year. So they may still have, say, Ohio State misses out on 4 games. There's a 4-game difference in the records. Why not count those like a preseason? You understand?
Well, for Justin Fields, for his credit, he's still a junior. He could stay in from next year and have a full season, get those numbers, and be a number 1 draft pick.
See, and that's true, but you got to see kind of from the more or less the fair shake for the seniors this year. If you don't really give those seniors a fair shake, they're not really going to have an opportunity when it comes to the draft, and it's going to really hurt them. And I don't want to see that happen. These guys are working hard; they're trying their best to get to where they need to be. And they really need to work on it, and that's why they're trying. That's why I'm assuming that they're trying to give them a fair shake, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't understand how the ranking system works.
For the most part, most people will say rankings going to be on favoritism. That's why
it really is.
Ohio State is ranked 3 instead of 9th or 10th.
Well, if I remember,
honestly, they should be because of the record.
If I remember right, too, there's with the AP polls, it kind of goes based on how many people watch the games, that kind of thing, how the ratings look for those teams. You know, obviously, if you've got Ohio State, which is one of the biggest names with their national championships, versus say Clemson, who's who is also national champions, you put those guys together on a Saturday night. Obviously, you want them ranked up near 3 and 4. Because of the fact that they're such big names, and that's going to make for the better views to help bring in more money for the NCAA. But
well, either way, I guess we'll agree to disagree a little bit on that one.
Yeah, it's so complex, and it's one of those things that unless you fully understand it and you analyze it for like ESPN and Fox and things like that, it's so hard to really understand. It's hard for a lot of guys that are sports fans to understand it, but at the same time there's a lot of guys that can understand it, if that makes sense. But it's just at that amount where and there's such confusion with it kind of based on the way that they rank anyway, that a lot of people are just like, oh right, well my team's ranked this, well I don't like that team, so that team should be ranked lower, you know. That's like me. I don't like Alabama. If I had it my way, Alabama would be down to 9th or 10th. And that's where they'd stay the entire time. But I have no choice. I admit they are great. However, that brings me to my next topic. Hang on 1 second. So, I saw something that I thought was very, very heartfelt over the weekend. And it was the Kentucky-Vanderbilt game. I gotta double check here. Give me 1 second. Because I don't want to get this wrong while I do this. Oh, shit. There it is. So, Kentucky decided at the very beginning of the game that they were going to honor their O-line coach who had passed away from cancer. He finally lost his battle to cancer, which is an unfortunate loss for their entire team. From my understanding, he was a phenomenal O-line coach. They really loved having him, and he was a former player there, and when he had played, he wore number 65. What they did is at the first drive of the game, on the very first play, they left the left tackle position wide open, no man filled the slot to honor him because that was the position he had played, and they intentionally took a delay of game penalty, which also, to my heartfelt motion here, the delay of Vanderbilt decided that they were going to decline the penalty for the delay of game to show their respects for such a great coach as well, which to me is awesome. When you show that simple act of kindness across the sports world, it's those moments that really make you find that much more of a love for the game, even if it's teams that you don't know or teams that you don't care for. It's just heartwarming to see it. Like the NFL when they do their salute to service, there's so much heart into it that it gives you that real moment of humanity that you don't normally see when it comes to these games.
And I'll add to it, they even they honored him a little bit more because each player wore his initials on their helmets. They all had the JS stickers on their helmets, as well as the fifth-year senior Landon Young wore number 65 to honor him as he played that game. And
he says too, he tries to play his best at that position, and I honestly really hope that this kid plays great and gets drafted. He seems like he has a real heart for the game, a real spirit, and he just wants to play. And that's what I see in a lot of these guys, and that's part of the reason why I like watching college football more than I like watching the NFL, because with college football, you see heart and soul put into the games. These guys are trying their hardest to make it to the professional stage, and once they get there, I mean, there's really the only way higher up is to kind of concrete your legacy, such as winning Super Bowls, playing outstanding at your position, and so on and so forth. But to see these guys put that heart, soul, and blood, sweat, tears all in on the field every Saturday in hopes of getting drafted, because remember, not everybody gets drafted, not everybody makes it in the NFL. To see these guys putting it out there, it's absolutely astonishing to me, and my hat's off to the college guys, because that's what the game should be about, is playing with your heart and soul, not playing because you're making several $1 million. And that's not to knock NFL players. They have profound talents, and they are freak athletes, and that's gonna kind of segue us into the NFL a bit. But before we close this out, I gotta finish this with my fail of the week, and that, it hurts me to say this being a veteran. Army let me down. They took a kickoff and they started the run, and they decided they were going to lateral it. And when they lateraled it, it went right into the hands of one of the special teams guys, and he jumped right into the end zone and scored a touchdown, because he more or less, it was such a what just happened play. And I understand why they were doing it, because that side was loaded and they could have easily broke away. But that's not how you're going to win the game, man. Come on, use your noggin a little bit. It was a good idea. And I don't know if he didn't see the guy. I don't know what happened. I'm not in his position. I couldn't tell you. But what the hell, man? Use your head a little bit. If that was the design play, unfortunately it didn't work. I would not recommend trying it again. So,
well, with yours being that, mine would have to also be what we talked about earlier with South Carolina letting go Will Muschamp.
Yep.
Yes, South Carolina is 2-5 this season. This is a freak season because of COVID. He has brought the team to a better standing the past years than they have been in quite a while. And now you're going to let him go, and a lot of the players went to South Carolina to play for him, not for the school, for him. So I see within the coming weeks, you're going to see a lot more players dropping out of the school to go somewhere else, or just say, hey, I'm not finishing this season unless you bring him back. So South Carolina, what the hell are you doing?
So let's switch over to the NFL a little bit here, because that's the games that are most fresh in our minds. And the first one I want to talk about, and no, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm 100% surprised that I'm ever saying these words. And if I ever say these words again, I'm not gonna say that, because that's Well,
Don't give me too much power.
just
You know this.
just know that I have a Foot Locker, and in said Foot Locker, there is a bang bang. And if I say these words in a setting other than this again, I want you to use said bang bang on me and just bury me in the backyard. um, that being said, last night's game, I want to talk about the Vikings versus the Chicago Bears. Holy wow. That game last night was a defensive battle. It started out with Nick Foles throwing a pick, which it was off the hands of the receiver and it went right into the hands of Harrison Smith. And then they turned around, took it downfield, and immediately fumbled it with Kyle Rudolph, who, mind you, is on an incredible streak. 137 games without fumbling a football. It took him 137 games. He's been in the league for 10 years and has not fumbled the football once. To me, that is astounding. And I have to give that man credit, but at the same time, it sucks that you fumbled the football. It really does, especially when they turned around, marched down the field, put up 3 points. And then immediately after, they decided, Minnesota said, enough's enough. We're going to go back with our quick strike ability. They marched down the field. And this athleticism that... this weekend has been full of great catches. I hope you know that. I really, really hope you know that.
Yeah. Well, and I'll go off of that one real quick. Is the great catch from the Saints. Drew Brees throwing a pass with a collapsed lung, still playing before he gets knocked out.
Right.
I mean,
that
guy's playing with 3 cracked ribs that he got from last week's game. Gets a freaking punctured lung, still throwing passes and hitting his receivers on the mark before taking a sack, cracking 2 more ribs, and then having to be pulled out.
That is an Iron Man at his finest. And
that right there is Hall of Fame.
It is. He is definitely going to be marked in the Hall of Fame, especially because of the fact that he has more touchdown passes than Brady right now. The biggest thing that I kind of wanted to bring up from all of that isn't necessarily, he was hitting his receivers, but I was more or less talking about the catches like DeAndre Hopkins' catch, Marquez Valdez-Scantling for Green Bay, running down 78 yards to score a touchdown, getting a ref just absolutely demolished. He got smacked so hard he got sent to the Shadow Realm. There was the one-handed catch by Adam Thielen last night where this man's athleticism, he's falling to the ground, catches the ball on his chest, and in the process, before he hits his elbow and all that on the ground, he takes his wrist and he flips the ball to get a better grasp on it as he hits the ground, and he scores a touchdown. That's pure athleticism. And Kirk Cousins, let me tell you this, I was not expecting such a perfectly thrown ball. I was telling you yesterday on Sunday that Danny Dimes was gonna be throwing dimes. No, Kirk family member dropped one right in there. Perfect catch, beautiful. Kirk Cousins, that one's for you, buddy. Beautiful pass, beautiful reception, spectacular athleticism. And that brings me into my next point. Let's take a second to talk about DeAndre Hopkins. Did you see that catch?
Unfortunately, I did not get to see that game, so I did not get to see that catch.
So, this man was triple covered on a Hail Mary play. He locks his eyes on the football, and I watched that a couple times, and as soon as you see his eyes lock on, and I knew the moment his eyes locked on, I'm like, he's either going to catch this or he's going to have it in his hands and it's going to get popped out and it's going to hit the ground. But I'm almost positive he's going to catch this. This is going to be just like a scene out of a book from like when Aaron Rodgers hailed his. And he goes up and you just see him clamp the ball and not let go. And he comes all the way to the ground still holding it. And that was right after Stephon Diggs made a spectacular catch. And you could see him yell, "That's what you pay me for." It was such a thriller, that Sunday night game, the Bills versus the Cardinals. And to have it end in that spectacular fashion blew my mind. because it was such a Hail Mary play. And with 3 defenders right there, Kyler Murray said it best with his tweet. He said, shit, hop down there somewhere. It was nuts to know that he has that athleticism to go up around 3 defenders, one of which is a former Packer, Micah Hyde. Went up, caught the ball, and came down to score to give their team the win. That is absolutely insane to me. And speaking of winning scores, Matt Prater for the Detroit Lions. Holy shit. 59-yard field goal to seal a game winner. I think he's 22. Hold on, let me look it up. I think he's 22 for 22 on game-winning kicks. Professional career. It's not there anymore. That was a good one. I was going to bring that up. Hang on, let me check somewhere else. Oops. I'm clicking all over the place. Where is it? I can't find it. Anyway, it's insane. I just to be able to kick that and have that many consecutive game-winning kicks is nuts to me. And I didn't want to be quiet for that long, but I was too busy reading that, trying to figure it out. What do you think about that? To have 22 game-winning kicks? Team needs you to do it. You know you got it. You walk out there and you just boot it straight up through the uprights. Good. Game over. You win.
All I can say is kickers are athletes too. No matter how much you pick on them, they're still athletes.
That is true. And Pat McAfee would attest to that because, it's nuts. So now, to go into the main topic that I was wanting to talk about as far as the NFL goes, let's hit our mandatory Green Bay Packer talk because I need this. Let me tell you, they were in control the entire game, but I got worried. Because of the defense, honestly. Without our 2 starting corners, giving up so many runs to Dalvin Cook last week, having struggled against the run and all that. It's just one of those things. It hurts my brain to think about having to leave it up to the defense when, yes, they're getting stronger, but they're not consistent. And they hung on the win. They did their jobs, and I'm proud of them for it. But that was a sloppy win against a 1-5 team. And don't get me wrong, the Jaguars probably should have won some more games, and they haven't had the best road, especially with Gardner Minshew getting hurt and going to Jake Luton. But hey, still, you got somewhere you got to say, hey, you should have won that game by a bit more. That defense is supposed to be a bit better. So I'm curious to see what we're gonna do against the Colts. I'm worried about that defense still.
You can worry about your defense. You've talked about your Packers. I got to give it up to my Bucks.
Oh, get the fuck out of here!
Whipping to the Panthers, 46-23. Now, I'm not going to blow smoke up Tom Brady's ass. He's had that for his entire career.
Oh, I'm thankful for
one
that.
thing I want to talk about is Ronald Jones II's 98-yard from scrimmage run for a touchdown.
That was nuts, and that was pure athleticism as well.
The center and the guard, bounced off 2 defenders, and was gone.
Yeah, he did. He tore it up. And that it was nuts to be able to see something like that. And don't get me wrong, I'm waiting for the day that Green Bay kind of gets their rhythm back and Aaron Jones can get going for some big runs. I love to see those big runs because It's always so good to watch a running back just hit that burst and be gone. Run that line and get north and south right into the end zone. It is absolutely fun to watch, and it's that gritty run that really brings out the team, because to see one person say, "Hey, I'm gonna put you guys on my shoulders, and we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna set this up so that way we can open up that playbook a bit more." That's the shit I love to see, and that's gonna be huge for Tom Brady though, because they definitely could go with a lot of play action, because that gives Tom Brady a bit more of time to pick defenses apart.
I mean, with that 98-yard run, he ties for second for the longest run from scrimmage with one of your Green Bay favorites, Ahmad Green, man.
Oh, yeah, Ahman Green.
Back in 03. And is 1 yard short from the record with both Henry from Tennessee and Dorsett from Dallas. Both had 99 yards.
That's nuts. That actually can kind of go with last night. There was a record, someone breaking a record and more or less taking the lead. Cordell Patterson had a kick return. If I remember right, it was 104 yards. He took it 4 yards deep in the end zone, ran it all the way up the other end zone, scored the touchdown, which was the lone Bears touchdown of the night. And that being said, he proceeded to take the lead as with the having the most kick returns for touchdowns in the NFL. And the best part is, to caveat it, it was the team that originally drafted him as the Vikings that he decided to do that against. It wasn't necessarily a decision. It was he was able to break free, but you know what I mean there.
Absolutely. Now, one thing we haven't talked about that a lot of people haven't talked about is the Miami Dolphins.
Tua is looking hot.
6-3.
Tua is looking hot.
Tua's looking good. Their offense and defense are looking good. They're on a 5-game win streak after winning Sunday.
And the division is wide open. The Patriots no longer dominate that division. It is wide open. Miami can finally make the playoffs and feel good about themselves. Granted, they'll probably choke.
I mean, between Buffalo leading the division with Miami sitting right on their tails.
Like I said, if Miami makes it, they're gonna choke. I honestly think Buffalo's got that division on lock. The Jets, they're on the bottom. Ain't nobody give a shit about the Jets this year.
Speaking of the Jets, that is going to be the question of the week: is will the New York Jets win a game this season? And if so, which week?
No, they won't.
Looking at the schedule with who they have left, yeah, I'm probably going to have to agree with you.
In the words of, well, I don't. Anyway, I'm gonna quote Big Daddy on this. God damn it, my words hurt my brain right now. I'm gonna quote Adam Sandler's Big Daddy on this one. I'm gonna end up sitting there this weekend watching the goddamn Jets, and I don't want to, but it's fun to watch that dumpster fire. It literally, watching the Jets to me is like watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians. It's such drama, and it's a dumpster fire. But I can't take my eyes off of it. I really cannot. And I love it, but I hate it. And it hurts my brain. That being said, I think that's where we should wrap this one up this week. Definitely next week we will have more. And we're going to hopefully get some more stuff figured out, so that way we can kind of have everything green across the board for you guys. And we can kind of get some more visuals going a little bit here too. I got some things that I'm looking into. And hopefully we can have this all set up and looking nice and neat for you guys. Stay tuned. We will see you guys next week. That being said,
before we go, I do want to give a quick special congratulations here.
Oh, what's that?
Miami Marlins have hired the first ever female GM.
Oh!
In Kim Ang.
You are 100% right. I honestly would have forgotten all about that because I'm in full-on football mode. But yes, congratulations to them. That is absolutely awesome to see. Because not just men play these sports. There are women out there that play these sports as well. I've got family that... I had a cousin growing up. We played football together. Hell, she was our kicker. She was great at it. And she was a running back as well. She was absolutely outstanding. And the best part is half the time the guys don't want to hit a girl. But the fun part is sometimes those guys that are on your team, like, all right, you want to be one of the boys? We'll bring you into the fold. And they won't hold back. So that's awesome to hear, and it is awesome to see. Girls can do it too.
That is going to do it for us. Yep, girls can do it too, and girls just keep those eyes open for those spots.
Yeah, you guys, you never know. I mean, sometimes, who knows? Maybe you guys will be able to see something we can't. Us guys are bullheaded. Keep us honest. That being said, I'm Asgard.
I'm Wolf.
And we will see you guys next week.